What's good, everybody? My name is Joshua McLean, and welcome to the Sew Rogan Experience. Oh, we are back, and I am once again super excited to have another conversation with another amazing person. She's a quilt artist. She was or is an educator. We'll have to ask her if she's still doing a lot of that. Pattern designer. She teaches, or again, has taught fun and funky quilt techniques classes. So I can't wait to talk about that. And apparently she is the home of the no boring quilt zone. And I absolutely love that. Teresa Stoller is right up my alley. And I think you guys are going to love this. So hold on, let me make sure I can bring you on. Teresa, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Nice so to see two questions. Yeah, two questions real fast, just so I can make sure I didn't screw that up. So do you still teach?
I do. I teach quilt-related classes. My professor job at the college is what I just exited.
Okay, fantastic. So I was reading I got that right off of your Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm an educator still, but for quilt-related things.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, awesome. Well, I know I kind of threw out a few things there, but we've obviously had a chance to spend some time together, and I've always enjoyed it. I think that we're like-minded folks, and we're going to have a fun conversation. But would you mind introducing yourself to everyone else the right way?
My name is Teresa Stoller. I am a quilt artist, educator, pattern designer, and lover of all things beachy at my little company, Beach Dreams Quilting. I make and sell quilted art, and I teach what I call fun and funky quilt technique classes.
I love that. Now, do you teach virtually or in person, or kind of both? Anything you can?
Yes, both. I was involved in a sewing summit last year, and from that stemmed a number of invitations to travel. So that's entering the picture now too. Again, it's challenging for those who don't know me. I am the full-time caregiver for my cute, adorable 85-year-old mom. She has Alzheimer's. So I do a lot of stuff virtually, and I enjoy that as well.
Well, I mean, and in this day and age, I'm just so glad that that's something that is honestly so easy to do, the virtual portion. Yeah. I have seen your work, and again, you've been here in the shop, and we've met, and you're obviously an artist, and so my take on traditional quilting versus art quilting. You kind of know which way I lean. I love my traditional quilters. no disrespect there. So, have you always been an artist? Was it natural for you to become, be drawn to the art quilting side of things, or what all types of sewing, and quilting do you do?
Yes, so art has always been in my life. My grandmothers were interesting. They taught me how to quilt when I was about 10. And what I appreciated was, here's a hand sewing needle and some thread. You can do this first, and then you can use that little machine. So I appreciated that later, but it was hard at first. So initially I was a traditional quilter, traditional like garment sewing, home deck, that kind of thing. And about 18 years ago, I ventured into the other side of quilted art. And I still make an occasional traditional quilt. Actually, I can't say what it is or anything right now, but I have a traditional pattern and quilt that's going to be in a magazine this fall.
Fantastic.
It's a spin. Yeah. Yes, I will. I'll keep you posted on that. So for the last 18 years, I've just loved anything art related in quilting.
No, so you're a pattern maker, which is great in its own right, because that's a skill that I do not have. But for me, art quilting, the reason I love it is because there is no pattern and there's no guidelines. So it's interesting that you make patterns, but yet you're what I would call an art quilter. So clearly, that's why I asked about the traditional quilting. I didn't know how much you still actually did. And the term traditional quilting maybe can be a little loose. What I mean by that is you're following a pattern for the most part, and you're piecing, pretty straightforward quilting.
Yes.
So the patterns that you enjoy making, are they on the traditional side, or are they kind of funky? If you don't
So
mind me asking.
I have both. I
Okay.
have some that are actually on my website's under revamp, but there are some patterns up there using a little process that I used called controlled chaos stitching.
I
Lots of
love that.
scraps, and there are some patterns that go with that. And the patterns are written so that they're basically a tutorial, so anyone can complete one of those patterns. And my email's on there. You know, I'll hold your hand, whatever you need to do to just enjoy the process and not stress out about it. I have taken on a new task of loosening up traditional quilt patterns. For example, we all know the joy, let's use that term loosely, of getting that 1/4 inch perfect and not chopping off the tip of a star point. So in my world, in my pattern making world, I bring the point of the star down away from the edge of the block so that the newest quilter can be comfortable if his or her seam isn't exactly a 1/4 inch. The point is not going to be chopped off.
Less
I
room for
just did
error.
I just did a clamshell pattern, and we all know how tight that is with those little really skinny points. So I eliminated those points. I spread them out about 1/4 inch, and our eye still reads it as a fully closed clamshell. But again, a relatively new quilter could master that. So those are
That's
coming
awesome.
out they should be on my website in August. So I'm
Oh,
excited.
fantastic. Oh,
Yeah, they're
that's
called
awesome.
pointless. I'm sorry. They're called pointless precision patterns.
You have a clever name for everything. I love it.
Well, pointless
That's
and
so
it's
good.
precise. So anyway, so
But so,
that's really where that is. And my I should also say that my quilted art, I like to piece everything, and I don't care
mhm,
how small the circle is, or anything like that. So part of my teaching is to help people be able to do that comfortably, um, and not feel like they have to. And there's nothing. I totally appreciate collage quilted art,
sure.
but I want them to be comfortable in setting a circle as well as appliquing it or leaving it raw edge.
Yeah, I probably need to take a class with you, because a lot of those things, like, I find myself, and we talked about it with Nina, wanting to be a perfectionist, and so sometimes I find that I don't really enjoy the process when I have guidelines. I'm a very outside of the box person, and so, but I love the idea of, you're like, hey, no, so you can do some traditional quilting, but still it's fun and less stressful. Maybe, yeah, I love everything. We're gonna have to talk more about that, because
Okay.
I think for so many people who are starting out as a quilter, they see quilts and they're immediately discouraged because they assume it's very, very difficult. And
Yes.
that's the last thing we want. We don't want to discourage anybody. You do
Right.
crawl before you walk. I mean, that's, that,
Yes. Good way to
but
put it.
yeah. So I love that you're thinking that way. And again, everything that you do is clearly, you're not going to do it unless it's fun, or at least you're going to do it your way to make it fun.
Yes. And it's funny you said that. I'll mention that in a few minutes when we talk about our young sewists. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, what a segue. So here comes. I said it with Nina. Hard hitting questions, but we both talked before we started recording. And it's important, So let's just jump into it. How do we create a new generation of sewers, slash kind of how do we get non-sewers excited about the sewing industry?
Right.
In
So
your opinion,
getting young people excited about sewing. First of all, that word excited, that's great, but we have to move beyond that. We need to get them excited, and then we need to inspire them to keep them engaged. It's one thing to excite them, it's a whole nother ball of wax to keep them engaged. And I think that's where I say we, but I mean our industry collectively,
sure.
we sort of dropped the ball there. It's great we give a little beginner class, or we maybe teach a kids camp or something, but what do we do beyond that? How do we keep them engaged? So that's important. And to me, the way that we do that is we tap into their creativity. We need to provide accessible resources. I'll circle back to that one in a moment. We need to showcase to them the practical as well as the artistic possibilities that exist in sewing. And to me, there's a few ways that we can do that. Highlight sewing's relevance and purpose. I mean, why do we do it? Emphasize the practical applications. Maybe they want to create custom clothing. We have things my daughter used to attend, like Comic-Con, that kind of thing.
Yeah, cosplay,
Role
yeah.
playing, cosplay. Yes, exactly. Custom clothing, accessories. Maybe they want to make quilts, home decor. Those are vastly different things, each and of their own, but we need to highlight those practical applications. Showcase how sewing can be sustainable, eco-friendly practice, encouraging young people to engage in conscious consumption and reduce waste by upcycling old garments or old bedding or anything. So my question about this to myself and to everyone in quilting is, how can the industry, including quilt shops, quilting instructors, sewing instructors, help support those efforts? We want to keep our shops in business, obviously. So
Right.
why aren't we looking, or I don't want to say why aren't we, we should be looking and exploring the possibilities of combining upcycled components with maybe a background fabric from our local quilt shop, something that adds cohesion to the project itself. Maybe it's having a background of solid hot pink or a background of a black and white check, but something that adds cohesion to that project. So we have our very much needed local quilt shop involved, but we're also telling our sewist, hey, we support what you're doing to upcycle, recycle, reuse, repurpose. We should introduce our young people to inspirational figures and role models. In the sewing community, including designers, influencers, entrepreneurs who have built successful careers and businesses around sewing, quilting, fabric designing, even pattern designing. Share the stories of these individuals with them and their passion for sewing and how they've turned it into a business. And oh my gosh, our little quilting world alone is a treasure trove of inspirational figures. We've got role models like the Queen of Quilting, Eleanor Burns. We have the quilt show icons, Alex Anderson and Ricky Timms. We have Latifa Safir and Elisa Carlton, who founded the Modern Quilt Guild. We've got a diverse and talented group of designers always on the successful show Project Runway.
Yeah.
All the way down to our local quilt shop staff and owners and teachers. We have role models and inspirational figures everywhere, but we need to do a better job at sharing that information with our young sewists, and we don't, in my opinion.
No,
So we
you're
need
right.
those. Yep.
Not to cut you off, but let me just add, you're absolutely right. And as a shop owner, like, it is, I feel like it's my responsibility. So I take that super serious. You're absolutely right. And you nailed it on the head. Getting them excited is great, but how do you keep them excited? You got to inspire them. And what you said right at the beginning, I was like, like, it's kind of almost the light bulb goes on, and I feel like that's the goal with classes and getting them back, especially at a young age, but every one of them's different. And the upcycling thing, a lot of kids do. They'll go to Goodwill, they'll get a shirt, they'll chop it up, they'll make their own thing. I don't know if you play on TikTok at all, but that platform is filled to the brim with a young generation that is so inspiring. And so we need to be in touch with that. I'm young. I'm 46. I'm young, but I mean, they are way younger than me on TikTok doing some incredible things. And so just making sure that we're being available and make sure a role model, setting the right example and standards, for the younger generation. It's not only the younger generation. I think it's just anybody who doesn't realize what this sewing industry is in 2024. I'm probably going to be a broken record by the end of this, but my friends I use always as an example, they don't understand, and it's not their fault. They don't have any introduction to the industry other than myself. They picture their grandma hand sewing a quilt in the corner in her chair. And that's not what it is anymore. It's just not. It is a world of art and creativity and inspiration. It's phenomenal. So everything you just said is so on point. And thank you for saying.
And learning resources need to be more accessible. Like we said, beginner friendly classes. We need to be embracing more technology, using digital platforms and social media more to share easy to follow sewing projects, tips, and that appeals. The digital platform appeals to a diverse set of learning styles and preferences. I mean, I know that from teaching at the college. People can watch and learn at their own pace, and they can rewatch as needed. But they also, especially young people, they know there's a human behind that IG reel, and that DM is just a click away to get an answer or help, or hey, what would I do here? That's an important thing, whether that resource is on social media, Zoom, or in person. Our young sewists need to know that someone is there to help them when needed. This is also a matter of helping them understand how this is creative expression, highlighting, like you were saying, that artistic aspect of sewing, showcasing how it allows the individual to design and even personalize their own garments or accessories. I saw a young lady on IG today painting a pair of jeans. I mean, that's nothing new, but how she was doing it was what was inviting and exciting. It was just covered with paint. It was beautiful. But this fosters a supportive, to me, it fosters a supportive and inclusive environment where young sewists, they feel empowered almost to experiment with different styles, techniques, materials, processes. But important thing here is it lets them know their point of view matters. It's a unique point of view, whether that's a bright and bold design or something very soft and subtle. It matters, and that's another point of keeping them engaged. Modernization and innovation, incorporating technology. I mean, I'm going to say that till probably the cows come home, because face it, Casper, everybody, the young ones, they're raised on it. Yep. Introducing, well, no, I'm not going to say that part. I was going to say introducing a much older, less technologically savvy person to one of these sewing machines versus probably giving it to your son. He would take it apart and put it back together in 5 minutes. But they're raised with this technology. What I don't want to get on a soapbox about this, but I do want to say, since I know people will be hearing this, this is not a reflection on quilt shop owners. It's about the machine manufacturers. They absolutely need to realize and act on the fact that to engage and continue to engage the young people means that their product needs to have advanced technologies at an extremely affordable price, or we're going to lose them. We're going to continue to send the message to them that the only thing available is basically a disposable low dollar machine from a big box store. And we don't want to do that.
So you're absolutely right.
I know there's an answer, and I know I'm confident that the machine manufacturers will come up with a way to do that. So, but that's aside from machines, we often overlook the community engagement aspect with our young people. Organizing sewing meetups for them, like your beginner kids camp kind of thing, but going beyond that, where they have more experiences past just the classroom. What about encouraging mentorships, opportunities between experienced sewists and beginners? I mean, I think the big thing we are definitely, we're celebrating diversity and inclusivity within the sewing community. We embrace people from all backgrounds, and I think that's this highlights cultural significance of sewing traditions from around the world. And I would love to see like a club where maybe, we have somebody showing us how to do a mola, or somebody showing us how to do Hawaiian applique, or anything. I mean, we're missing so much, Joshua. I mean, we really are.
I know. You're absolutely right. But I truthfully feel, and this is, I think, basically going to get into question number 3, so I won't say much, but I feel like we're going in the right direction now. I think people are super and hyper aware. And look, the younger generation is hyper organized because of social media too. Like they communicate from across the planet very, very well. And so I think we're headed in a good direction.
I do too.
But before we get into, where do you see the future? I don't want to skip over the possible chance to give you to answer question number 2 is, do you have any, and you might have already kind of done it, but advice or tips that you would give to sewers, something that you just say, you can't not do this, or, put
Okay.
in your own
Well,
words.
you said I could say this
You can
on
say whatever you
video.
want.
So my thing that I live by, I have this really cute little sign on my laptop and next to me, and it says, "Be brave enough to suck at something new." And when I saw that, I could not stop laughing, and it has stayed with me ever since. But for the purpose of our discussion, let's just say that we have one new thing we're going to try. That
Okay.
suck at something new is just one thing. It doesn't matter what it is. It's absolutely okay to try everything and anything, quilting, garment sewing, etc. But we're just going to say our one thing is a what if you will.
Sure.
So we don't want to just embrace that what if, meaning, and its many possibilities. We want to run with it, and we have to be brave enough to say to that old evil imposter syndrome. It's just got to kick it to the curb. It's normal to have some hesitation with anything new, but that imposter syndrome, we need to kick that thing to the curb so that we can run with our what if and see where it leads and where we take it to. We meaning the young sewists.
Sure.
I'm still young in my brain, but that's
You're
another
young.
thing. So whether you find success immediately with that what if, or if you fall down right out the gate, you got to keep going. When I say you feel you found success immediately, that is success according to your own definition of success, not your friends, not social media, not even your quilting instructor's definition of success. In either situation, success or falling down, you have to ask yourself, what could you add next time, or how might you approach it differently next time? This is not only how we grow creatively, but it's also how we evolve to find what sometimes is called in many creative outlets our signature style, if you will. And most importantly, it's how we find out what brings us joy, and we're going to want to continue things that bring us joy. So maybe that's figuring out that bright, bold, beachy colors make your heart sing. Okay, that's me. Or maybe it's figuring out what fabrics you like to work with, quilting cottons, batiks, or both. Okay, that's me. Or maybe it's that your whole world lights up over modern quilting or traditional quilting or art quilting or anything. So this joy is about you. This thing you're trying really, really, really brings you joy. It's not about following a trend or what the person next to you in your class who maybe has been doing this thing for 30 years is doing. It's about what gives you the sizzles inside, makes you like light up from top to bottom. So I say, give your what if a try and be brave enough to suck at it. And if this what if is something that brings you joy, well, then eventually you'll unsuck at it and you'll come to realize that you were brave enough to suck at something new and it wasn't all that bad. And that, my friend, will inspire you to try the next what if on your list.
Yep, that's so amazing. And you won't know if you suck at it unless you try.
That's exactly right.
So, I mean, what are you afraid of? Hey, I love that. No, you sent me that and you're like, is this okay? I was like, absolutely. In fact, I'm stealing it. It's my new motto. Be brave enough to suck at something new. That's so good. I have no fear of failure, really, because truthfully, it's like, okay, what's the worst thing that can happen? You learn from it, you grow from it, whether it's as a human, as a sewer, whatever. So super wise words. I absolutely love it. Absolutely. It's okay for you to say that over. I hope you probably do say it every day.
every day.
And you should. Okay. So kind of circling back, and the question's easy. Where do you see the sewing industry in 10 years? I said that I think we're in the right direction, not to sway your answer, but what do you think? I mean, 10 or just in the future?
I just think it's poised for significant evolution that's going to be driven by technological experimentation, advancements, definitely changing consumer preferences because, again, we're going to be dealing with a younger demographic. And probably I can use the word renewed, but an increased focus on sustainability and creativity. So if I made like 4 little notes of what I think where that's might be heading. Digital transformation, like, I mean, I think we would all agree with that. So machines have ever evolving advanced technologies, and that's going to continue to undergo transformation. And I think that's going to be with a widespread adoption of advanced technologies, things we're already seeing, artificial intelligence, machine learning,
Yeah,
augmented reality. All of that is going to come into play. Machines will continue to become more intuitive and user friendly. I think they're going to be equipped with even more smart features and maybe automated processes that offer personalized recommendations, or like enhanced precision even. I think that's going to continue. And
absolutely.
I think digital platforms are going to continue to revolutionize the way people learn and interact. The second
Absolutely.
thing
People,
was,
people don't real fat. People don't realize that a lot of that stuff is already happening in these
yes,
machines. Like it's incredible. And again, I don't want to go backwards, but you are absolutely right. This new technology and these machines are phenomenal. It's so much fun, but it also can be deterring because of the price point. I mean,
but that goes back to what I was saying earlier. I
right.
think that's on the manufacturers. They're going to have to figure that out. Microwaves
I agree.
cost $800 when they first came out. Yes, I'm that old.
Yeah.
So would you pay? I wouldn't pay $800. I mean, a microwave now, you go to, well, whatever store and get it for $39. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
$100 for a nice one.
they're going to figure it out, Joshua. They are. It's
I
just,
agree.
it's going to take some time, but it's going to happen. Another thing I noted
I agree.
was customization and personalization. So look at already what's happening with advances in digital pattern making software and 3D body scanning technology. I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
going to continue to grow and enable individuals to create made to measure designs that fit unique body shapes, and preferences. And I think that's great, especially when we talk about, like, we're not all made the same. So
Right.
what's better than having something? So mass customization, I think that's just going to become increasingly accessible. So consumers can design whatever they want to design.
How
Again,
exciting.
I beat this one probably to death. Sustainability, sustainable practices, eco-friendly materials. They're not going to just be buzzwords for some, but they're going to take center stage to me in sewing industry, with a renewed emphasis on that whole eco-friendly materials,
Mm.
ethical production methods, and even, circular economy principles. All of that, I think, is going to be, we're going to see more of that. I think there's going to be a greater shift toward sustainable fashion practices, and I think that's happening now to a degree,
What does
including
that mean?
upcycling,
Oh, okay. Okay.
zero waste design, eco-conscious sourcing. That's becoming an even bigger thing. So even eco-friendly alternatives like organic fabrics or recycled textiles. But again, we're already doing some of those things and seeing some of
We
those
are.
things.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think collaborative innovation, but from an interesting cross-disciplinary perspective. So, like, can you see this in the future, like fashion designers with engineers and digital artists, like, that lead to the development of, like, this cutting edge wearable technologies, smart textiles,
Right.
interactive garment kind of thing? It's going to be there. It might be
Absolutely.
30 years, but it's going to be there. And then open source platforms, in the college setting, we're already using open ed resources,
Hmm.
gone, let's say bye bye to the $900 textbook. So
Yep.
I think open source platforms and maker communities are going to continue to foster, if not even grow even more, a culture of collaboration, knowledge sharing, fueling creativity, and just innovation across the sewing ecosystem. So overall, I think in the next decade, it's going to be characterized by innovation, sustainability, diversity, creativity, as it continues to evolve and meet the changing needs and preferences of our consumers, and definitely our young sewists.
That's amazing. Absolutely agree with everything you just said. I have such positive and high hopes, but I just feel it. I know that this industry is not going anywhere. It's going to change. It's already shifting, even just to something as simple as the fabric selection, like just the colors, period. It's just different and it's shifting with the times and with the people that are starting to be the designers and the creators and stuff. So I just think it's going to keep getting cooler and cooler. Like I said, I'm 46, so I wasn't born with an iPad in my hand, but like I grew up, I'm very accepting and welcoming of new technology. I'm excited about it. Like I love the techie stuff. So I love the high tech machines. The younger people younger than me are even more so. So it's not going to stop. And the innovation is just going to keep impressing us and getting even more wild and cool, in my opinion.
And
So,
I'm
and that
ecstatic
you're
about that.
excited for it. It looks like. I mean, I think you're like, hey, bring it on.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That's what I.
But
That's the vibe I got.
but I have always embraced technology, and like right, I mean, Steve, for those you don't know, he's my husband. He's a quilter. He sort of chuckles at me because I will literally sit down in, of all things, Pro Stitcher Designer software, which you're supposed to draw quilting patterns in. And I will draw like quilting on the machine. I will
Right.
draw a pattern for one of my art quilts, and then I will move it into Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator, and refine it and color it in and
Oh,
do
how
things like
cool.
that. And I will sometimes use my digitizing embroidery software for a similar function and move it into Illustrator. So
Oh,
it's
that's
just,
cool.
yeah. So, but see, that's the
That's
what if. That's the what if. What
yeah.
if I tried this? And guess what? I tried it and it worked. And it didn't suck. So I did it
And you didn't
again.
suck at it. Yeah, right. That's awesome. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, that's so good. All right. So I hope it's okay if I want to do a speed round with you. It's something I started with Nina last episode. I know you're not. Trust me, these are not hard hitting questions. It's very
Okay.
very easy. It's more for just me and for fun to be anything
Okay.
more than anything. So okay, speed round. What's your favorite color?
Purple.
Mine too. Good choice. Favorite band or music genre? If you don't have a favorite
Aerosmith.
band. Aerosmith. Fantastic. Good one. Favorite brand of machine?
Oh, can I add though? I like the Temptations too.
Yeah, those are so close.
Favorite
Aerosmith.
brand of machine, Baby Lock. I think we own 9 of them now. So yeah,
That's amazing. Okay. Desert Island movie.
I'm not much of a movie watcher.
Okay. Do you have a favorite movie? Wow, really? Not a movie watcher. Okay,
No,
interesting. Fair enough.
no,
Nothing wrong with that.
I'm too busy playing on technology to watch movies and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
that
don't
touche.
even know. Are there Desert Island movies?
Oh yeah, I've got a handful of them. Yeah,
Okay.
but no, that's fine. Honestly, your answer was better. You spend your time creating and doing things probably more productive than watching movies. Guilty pleasure. All right. How can people find you if you want them to find you? You said your website's kind of in process of changing, but if is there anything you'd like to put out there for people to be able to find you?
Yeah, obviously they won't find me on a desert island because I didn't even know that was a movie thing. So,
Well,
that's out. So,
hold on. So the desert island things means like if you were stuck on an island and you could only
yeah.
watch one movie for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh,
So,
To Kill a Mockingbird.
oh, okay, fair enough. I didn't mean like a movie about desert
Oh, I thought you were telling me you wanted
islands.
a desert island movie. I'm like, did they make those?
No, I'm so sorry.
No.
And then you answered so fast. So maybe I should change the question. What's your favorite movie?
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
I'm I'm a weirdo. I think I have like such a diverse. I like To Kill a Mockingbird as a classic. Arsenic and Old Lace. Men in Black,
Oh,
because
okay.
I mean, who doesn't love Will Smith? Come on now.
Yeah.
And Red.
Oh, interesting. What a three totally different
Hmm.
movies, but that's cool.
Hmm.
That summarizes you very well. That's great. Okay, fantastic. And then okay, so back to the um is there anything you'd like to put out as far as can people get a hold of you, find you? Is there any website in the future that they should look for?
Yes, the Beach Dreams Quilting is there,
Okay.
and it's up, but it says there's some patterns and stuff on there. It does say that we're under construction. Like I took my classes down because they're moving to a different platform, and they'll be
Okay.
back up later this summer. And then Beach Dreams Quilting is also on Instagram.
Beautiful. And that's beachdreamsquilting.com.
Yes.
Is that the website?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, I could literally talk to you for hours, and I know I told you I said I'm going to try to keep it, but you did better than I did. You were like right on point. Okay, next question, because I
It's a
know that you had to.
professor.
Well, yeah,
It's the professor. Got the bullet items down.
good for you. But truthfully, everything you said was just so. Well, I think it's right. Obviously, people are they can have their own opinion, but I literally agree with everything that you just said. I say it all the time, but I think we can smell our own. I think that's why we liked each other. So,
Yes, exactly.
yeah. Well, I'm so excited for the future. I'm excited to see what kind of stuff that you are doing for actual
Thank
just
you.
creating, but also as far as teaching and stuff. And I hope we get a chance to see each other soon and work together. And thanks so much for coming on. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I
Yeah, of
appreciate
course.
it.
It was my pleasure. I was excited that you said yes. So, all right. Well, we will talk to you soon, Teresa. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye bye.